Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seats are our good friends, Miss Angela Rose
Hello, everyone.
and Mr. Darren Starling.
Konbanwa. However you want to phrase it.
And we are excited tonight. We're doing, we've done this topic before, but we're going to be talking tonight about conventions, do's and don'ts, how to enjoy yourself at conventions, things to look out for, ways that you can get the most out of the event. Uh, After talking with Pamela Swanson last week from Anime Boston, really had me thinking about, the conventions are coming back full swing. See a bunch of shows that have already been going on in 2024. Darren's already ahead of, this is a rarity. Darren's been to more conventions than Angela and I have in 2024.
Combined.
Yep. Not for long, but
And we want to remind everybody Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by W Energy Powder. If you're looking for a great pick-me-up with no crash, check out W Energy Powder at www.dubby.gg. Check out the products they got. They're really good. I've been using it for quite a few months. And if you want to buy stuff, use our code AZR10 for 10% off your complete order at checkout. Also, we're brought to you by Triple S Lawn Care for all of your lawn care needs. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, be sure to check out Triple S Lawn Care. Darren will hook you up with great work at a great price.
Yep.
Now that we've paid the bills, we start off with good news. I'm sure a lot of our fans out there know that I've been been training for a new job, working as a conductor for a railroad up here in Pennsylvania. And good news, I had my final exam today and I passed. So after I take my go off on my trip tonight and we come back Tuesday or Wednesday, as of February 1st, I will officially be promoted to conductor.
Yay!
Congratulations, senor.
If I had the technology skills, I'd make the screen flash confetti.
Yeah. And good evening, John. Thank you so much for joining us. He says he finished Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 dub, Goblin Slayer Season 2 dub, and Rise of the Shield Hero Season 3 dub. Awesome.
And Issa J says congrats.
Thank you so much. It was a long time coming. For those who are new to the show and don't know, I started this journey of a new career back in July of last year. July 10th to be exact was when I started my training down in Georgia. And it's been a long road, a lot of training, a lot of learning, and I'm excited to see where the career will take me. Unfortunately, it's going to steer me away from probably away from a lot of live Sunday night shows. But that being the case, expect to see random shows throughout the week when I have the time. We're also in talks of trying to keep something on the air Sunday night. So all of you who join us on Sunday night want to just keep everything going. And hello, Ross. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're getting some good pizza. Ross says he's just grabbing some pizza.
You can't really go wrong with most pizza. John, given your list of everything you've just finished, I want to ask, what were your thoughts on Goblin Slayer Season 2? Because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I believe Darren did as well.
Oh, most definitely.
So what did you think of that?
Stuffed crust pepperoni.
Again, you can't really go wrong with the pepperoni pizza. You can't really go too wrong.
I found a way of making the pepperoni pizza better.
Add bacon and steak to it.
Well, you could do that, but if you just want the pepperoni, add cheddar on top. and it's an amazing combination. I discovered it when I worked for Domino's. I actually went to was at a pizza place up here, up in Chapman when I was working there during the week, and asked for a couple slices of pepperoni and cheddar. And cheddar wasn't even an option. They'd never had anybody ask for that before, but it's so
Right.
good.
Since we're on the topic of pizza, I'm going to go and ask a very polarizing question. Pineapple pizza, yay or nay?
I don't like pineapple.
I have no issue with pineapple on pizza. I've had pineapple ham. I've had pineapple ham, red and green pepper, pineapple ham and onion.
I don't like ham. So
What
when I
about
would
Canadian bacon?
not a fan. Pineapple with either regular bacon or pineapple with ricotta cheese.
My mom tends to do either pineapple and mushroom or pineapple and jalapeno.
I do know people that do jalapeno.
Issa J says pineapple ham and ham pizza is great. And answering your question, Ange, John Knight says Goblin Slayer season 2 dub was a good one. They kind of skipped the content, but again, it was good.
Yeah, no, when I think Darren and I touched on that at one point, how they skipped over other characters' perspectives to focus on our title character.
Mm-hmm. I still want to know more about the random hero they keep going back to and her little party and what role they have to play in all this.
Yup.
Maybe you'll find that out in season 3.
Or we never will, and that'll be a shame.
Exactly. But I like how they're finally giving us background on the Sword Priestess.
And I loved the insight into the rest of the main party.
The elf wedding was it pulled a free ring almost in terms of perspective. Because her sister was getting married after what? Was it 1,000 years, 1,500 years?
Something like that.
And she was like, what, 600, 800?
Yep.
Right around your age group there, Darren.
And in the chat... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, the only anime I've watched that really has characters that old. And I mean, Senko's old, don't get me wrong, but
Senko was 800.
I'm trying to think of other characters that are that old.
They don't specify how old they are in interspecies reviewers.
But
they just say to stay away from elves because they're old.
Going back to the chat, John Knight and Ross seem to agree on pepperoni pizza being best.
And Ross says mushroom, no taste or flavor, yuck. My problem with mushroom isn't so much the fact they have no taste; it's the texture of the mushrooms that I don't like.
See, I actually don't mind mushroom pizza.
I don't mind them. Not my preferred thing. And when eat mushrooms in general, if you don't put a little bit of butter on them, they're a little too bland for me.
See, mushrooms go in things. Butter, pepper, salt, garlic.
I agree.
And Issa 100% agrees with you on the texture thing, Doug. Yep.
And Darren, Ross is picking on you again.
That's fine.
He says, you guys sure Darren isn't Rip Van Winkle in disguise?
Maybe. Until y'all see my face, y'all will never know.
There's no
how many
evidence.
times have I turned on the camera for this show?
You did last week for like a few minutes.
Every time you've turned the camera on, it's been to show off stuff. You've never shown your face, I think, on air.
I thought I did during the after hours at one point.
After hours you did, but I don't know if any of that actually went up or not.
And I don't remember this.
Ange wasn't here for the after hours stuff. I think a lot of that was pre-recorded stuff because we wanted to do some editing and then never got to get everything up.
And Ross is saying, much like a Tootsie Roll Pop, the world may never know
what Darren looks like.
I'm just your average person.
Darren in secret is working to become the next VTuber model to have a VTuber image up instead of himself. And it's going to be Nico.
Back in the day of my anime things, everyone always wanted me to go replace Zuckerberg because we were so fed up with Facebook taking down our crap.
And now Facebook doesn't care.
Oh, they do. They do. They care more now than they did before.
On certain things.
Yep.
But we don't need to get into that. Tonight we wanted to talk about conventions and, ways to enjoy them. And if you're in the chat and you've never been to a convention, feel free to ask us questions because all of us have been to many conventions in multiple different aspects of conventions. Personally, I've got Angela and I have covered his press. We have tabled. We have had tabling experience of selling things. Angela has volunteered for conventions. We've all cosplayed outside of Darren for conventions. We've all attended many conventions of many different types, everything anime, video games, Comic-Cons, multi-genre conventions.
I have cosplayed, per se. It's called I Was a Bojangles Employee. Close enough, right?
It'd be better if you were a Hooters girl.
No.
God, no. Ross is going back to our
Goblin Slayer.
Yep.
Ross, she's young. She didn't understand the repercussions of her actions, so while I agree, I don't really think so.
I will agree with the personality and the stealing from the princess, but I don't think she deserved to die.
That's what I'm saying.
Be taken back to her brother and be put in her place. Absolutely.
Oh yes.
But I feel like that's another plot point that they didn't 100% resolve, and then we'll see more of that in season 3 whenever it gets announced.
Yes, because we need more Goblin Slayer.
Yes. And Issa went to a small convention but was wondering if there was a recommended amount list of things to bring.
That's
asking
a good
because
question.
That 100%, as someone who is also extremely neurotic about a lot of things, the answer to that 100% depends on
what you plan on doing.
Yeah.
Is it a 1-day con? Is it a 2-day con? Is it a bigger 3-day con?
Are you staying in a hotel? Are you driving there? Are you for me personally, for Anime Boston, I typically have a hotel, and I'll have some things in what amounts to a purse, but I won't have a lot with me, but leave any and everything in my room so I can always go back if I need it. For PAX East, we drive, and I don't want to deal with bag check, so I'll only keep on me the things I absolutely need, like my wallet and my phone and my keys, and then leave anything I could possibly want in the car because I can go back to and from the car at will.
For me, with going to a bigger event like Anime Boston, usually, obviously, you want clothes for the 3 days. I'd probably bring like 4 or 5 days worth of clothes just in case I'm not sure what I want to wear. If I'm cosplaying, I will have the stuff to go with the cosplays. Um, Obviously, you want your normal toiletries, toothbrushes, deodorants, stuff for bathing because cleanliness and hygiene is very important for conventions. And it's something people take for granted because once you get there, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
The
And a
other
lot of people rush through the weekend. And before you know it, there are people who are, sitting down because they've gone 8, 10, 12 hours and haven't eaten anything.
oh,
It's not uncommon for people to not shower for 2, 3 days because they're just constantly on the go.
if for me, I also have blood sugar issues, so if the convention allows, some do, some don't. This is a variable. And you have grab and go snacks that you can put in a purse. By all means, keep that in a water bottle with you. Water bottle, definitely 100% necessary. Also, I cannot stress this enough. Wear comfortable shoes that can handle walking around for 8 to 10 to 12 hours. Because more often than not, convention center floors are not good on your feet, and you will wear your shoes down.
A fun little meme that was made a while back.
Yep.
Make sure that you've got it. It is important. Other good rules of thumb to think about too is for food. Obviously, if you're going to a large scale convention, if you don't have a ton of money that you can spend on food, a place like Anime Boston does have a grocery store not far from the convention center, so you can go there and instead of spending $50 on a couple of meals, you could spend it on the groceries at the store and have meals for the weekend, whether it be cup ramen or cereal, Pop Tarts, snacks. That way you can stay, eat something in the hotel room throughout the weekend as opposed to constantly spending a good amount of your budget on eating at restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's for each area, it's do a little bit of research into what's around. Anime Boston does still have a couple of fast food places left, but they're not they're in hidden corners and not everybody remembers where they are.
Yep. And here in Raleigh, we have a lot of fast food places about a couple miles away from the center, but since you're in downtown, you got a couple of your standard fast food joints, McDonald's and Subway are two of the popular ones. And then aside from that, most of your other restaurants are your middle to upper price restaurants. There's a lot of bars in uh, our area, and also just somewhat, like I said, a little bit on the upper cost of eating.
But yeah, it's all
But
about look up the rules, look up the convention itself, because some will allow you to bring in outside food, which makes it a heck of a lot easier in a lot of cases. Others will not.
yeah, because the convention center food especially gets pricey real quick.
And also, if you're, I know a lot of people who are part of the anime and Comic-Con culture who don't like huge crowds. You can handle them for a small amount of time after being at a large convention center surrounded by hundreds and thousands of people. You may want to decompress, and going to a crowded restaurant also may not be what you want to do at that point in time, but you need some food. So keeping some snacks or having snacks either in your car or if you have a hotel room at the convention center or close to the convention center is another really, really good thing to do. That way you can unwind, decompress, get yourself back to a comfort level that you're prepared with, so you can go back to the convention and continue to enjoy yourself. Because I'll be honest, we all need that mental break when you're at these conventions. It can get very overwhelming with the crowds, the noise, all of the, between cosplay, you go into the gaming area, you have all the lights and sounds from the different video games. You go into the dealer's hall, you've got all sorts of merchandise everywhere. Same thing with Artist Alley. It can get very, very overwhelming if you're not accustomed to it.
And having worked the info booth at PAX, for people who have never, and actually Ross is in the chat, bringing up kind of what I was about to go into, was plan out and manage your time of who you want to meet, because the lines get pretty long for hours, and that's exactly it. It's make a list of things, of priorities. Like, if you don't get to do this one thing, you'll be upset, and so on and so forth. And then focus on the one or the 2 or 3 things at the top of your list, with making sure those things are the things you do first.
And don't always do what I do by like waiting last minute and praying things will work out. Like at GalaxyCon last year, when they actually kind of did work out with getting to meet Colleen Clinkenbeard. Her line was so long all day. We were there like a half hour before the vendor's room was closing. I'm like, I'm just going to walk by and see how small her line is, if she's even still there. She was still there. There were like 3 people in front of me.
And for PAX, for PAX Unplugged specifically, we had a lot of people who had never been to any kind of convention before, kind of in that same overwhelmed, where do I start? And it's like, well, what do you like? What's the one thing, if you don't get to do, you'll be disappointed?
Mm-hmm.
And also, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You were on to something.
No, and go through the panel, go through the schedule before you get there, and panels, autographs, whatever strikes your fancy. Make sure you know what's going on, where, when, and how to get there. Because the last thing you want to do is miss an autograph session because you were in the wrong end of the convention center.
Or miss your favorite or miss an interesting panel because you're at the wrong room.
And as Ross points out, most conventions have this stuff on their websites, and you can
in the brochures that you get when you go in the door.
And you can print out a map from the website beforehand, so you have an idea of where you're going beforehand.
And Issa says, thinking about going to Anime Boston with a friend, maybe cosplaying. Out of curiosity, have you been to Anime Boston before? And what do you enjoy from going to conventions? What is one of the things that you really look forward to about the events? Is it meeting the people? Is it meeting the guests or celebrities? Is it finding merchandise? Because Anime Boston is a great place to A, network, B, find a lot of different merchandise that you won't find at smaller shows. They always have a ton of great artists as well, so Artist Alley is always a must-stop.
Anime Boston also has a lot of fan-run photography meetups for different fandoms. A personal friend of mine is organizing the meetup, the cosplay photo shoot meetup for Final Fantasy. And so that stuff's usually all posted on social medias.
Yep.
And
it's a lot of times the attendees will try to, or kind of tailoring off of that, the fans that attend the conventions will a lot of time try to do like little side things during the convention. Someone will sometimes have like a boombox or something playing and kind of attracting a crowd. Then you got photo shoots at certain times. Like you were saying, social media is a great way to spread them. Meet up here at this time for a photo shoot from this show, that show.
And even if you're not cosplaying, but just enjoy the show and want to see other people cosplaying from said show, that's usually
That's
also
good.
more than welcome.
Yep, that's your time. If you want photos of a lot of good cosplayers, there you
Because
go.
the last time I actually cosplayed and went and was part of a cosplay photo shoot, there were people there who just really liked the show and wanted to take pictures of everybody. And the general rule is, as long as you're not in the way of the professional that was paid to do the photo shoot, then you are more than welcome.
And John in the chat says tomorrow is Bryn April and Clifford Chapin's birthday. Also, January 29th is Natalie Rial's birthday. So happy birthday to all of those wonderful voice actors. Isa in the chat says, never went to Anime Boston, but they like being able to nerd out, whether it be over costumes, animes, or anything else. Anime Boston is a larger scale convention, so just to have you mentally prepared for when you go, because Anime Boston was my first ever convention, having not knowing the sheer scale of what Anime Boston was, or even what to expect at conventions, and the numbers I don't think have gotten back to where they were pre-COVID just yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're getting close. And you're looking at like between 20 and 30,000 people for the weekend attendance wise. So it gets very busy, but you see a lot of amazing cosplays.
It really is. The experience is all what you make of it. Some of the programming for Anime Boston has been announced, some is not.
Some guests have been announced, some have not.
So it's really, and honestly, there's a lot of people at Anime Boston who just like to chill in like the larger open areas and just, like you say, nerd out about whatever. I mean, last year there was a group of people playing Magic the Gathering in the hotel lobby at one of the long tables.
Yep. And then sometimes the convention will actually have dedicated. Well, I know we have a dedicated area for any kind of tabletop games that they want to play. That way, they're not in the middle of the convention center somewhere in people's way.
For
it does happen.
For Anime Boston specifically, they've tried to do dedicated rooms for that. Like last year, there was a D&D room. I don't know how much traction that got. I know there was also an arcade area set up. That seemed to be going very well.
Oh, Doug. So I wanted to mention this, but Animate Raleigh, since it's part of the GalaxyCon franchise, fixed your gaming room thing. Do you remember how the convention center and the downstairs area was split into like 3 sections?
Yep.
Okay. So this time around, the 2 sections on the right took up the dealer and the artist alley, and the section on the left they actually dedicated to the arcade games and everything. They even had a WWE ring in the back of the center, and then they had the tattoo area I was telling you about. They actually had a official tattoo business come in and offer anime themed tattoos for sale.
That's pretty cool. And if you're in the New England area and you're a fan of like the voice actors and stuff, there is no shortage of amazing guests that have already been announced for New England and New York convention that personally I have attended on multiple times. Obviously, Anime Boston is coming up March 29th through 31st. Guests announced thus far include Alejandro Saab, Hayden DeVoe, and Zeno Robinson. Musical guests Hayazaki with Kaya, and also Japanese band Queen Bee is going to be there. Also, Saratoga Comic-Con, Sam Chase has got some amazing guests that are going to be there from the voice acting world. You've got Mela Lee is going to be there. Faye Mata, who you may know her best as Aqua from Konosuba, is going to be there. Loraldo and Zaldua, I may have butchered his name, is also going to be there. He also has people from Stranger Things. Ray Hurd, voice actor, is going to be there. Stephanie Panicello from Resident Evil games is going to be on hand. Justine Huxley is going to be there as well. So they've got some amazing celebrity guests that are going to be there. Of course, they've got some amazing artist guests as well, including our friend Jay Moores is going to be there. So if you've seen any of the shows that Jay has been a part of and you want to stop by, say hi, go to Saratoga Comic-Con. That is going to be May 4th and 5th in Saratoga, New York. Saratoga Springs, New York. And that is one that I would love to make, because I would love to meet Mela Lee and Faye Mata in person. Mela Lee has been a guest on the show many, many years ago. And Faye Mata is somebody that I've always wanted to get on the show, because whether you love Aqua or hate her, Faye Mata did a great job voicing her in the English dub. And in Isekai Quartet. And we know how much Darren loves his useless goddesses. I think she won when we had who's worse, Aqua or the goddess from
Cautious Hero.
Cautious Hero.
Sorry, but I picked Aqua over what's her name?
I don't remember her name either.
It'll come to me in a moment.
At least, although I think Aqua was a better one for that.
That's what I was saying. Aqua was not as useless as, because at least Aqua could revive him. The other one could not. She could only heal him.
Ross says restart day.
Thank you, Ross.
Like I've always said, we've got some amazingly knowledgeable fans in the chat that are always there when we need them. And we thank you guys. We love you guys for coming in every week.
We've covered a lot of good ideas. I think I'm going to... we should cover some really bad ideas.
Okay. Here's one. Don't go walking around the convention center at night, because you never know what street you're going to end up on. Because you go a couple streets away from the convention center and you get into the rough part of town, at least here.
Another thing, and as somebody who has worked at a table, my wife's an artist, and we've seen this happen every convention that we've vended. You always get the people who walk up, the cosplayers are trying to look at an artist or a vendor's merchandise, and somebody asks them for a photo, so they stop and pose in front of the booth. Ask permission. If you're going to ask for a photo of a cosplayer in front of a booth, ask the booth owner as well if it's okay to take a photo. Some people don't want their merchandise photographed, and some of the artists and vendors don't want to be photographed themselves. So, if you can get ask for a photograph, and you can go to an area that you're not going to be blocking tables, blocking pathways, things of that nature, a little bit of courtesy, and it'll be greatly appreciated by not just the cosplayers that you're getting the photograph of, but everybody around you as well.
Another big thing on that note is One, always ask permission before taking photos. Period. End of story. 2, be mindful of other people's personal space. Especially nowadays, I've ended up in some situations where I was made uncomfortable because it was too many people and not enough space, and I couldn't move. And then there's just, again, it's a lot of being mindful of other people's personal boundaries and space. And also there's been instance and cosplay.
Cosplay is not consent.
Nope. And also if you are going to cosplay,
try to find a group or people that you are comfortable with, that you can hang around. It's not good, especially this day and age, and especially a lot of the females out there who cosplay, and a lot of anime characters, especially the female ones, wear very revealing outfits. And it may not be your attention, or it may not be your
intent
to get the unwanted attention that comes from wearing said costumes. But we all know that there's been a long history, not even just at conventions, but in general, of creepers being all over the place. So that's why it's important to, if you can go to a convention in groups, try to stay with friends. Or if you are going alone, try to find somebody that you can talk to or kind of become friends with for the convention, so that you feel safer going. Also, if you're feeling uncomfortable, talk to a staff member, talk to a vendor, talk to an artist. Everybody that's at these conventions is usually, especially from a dealer's room or vendor's room standpoint, they won't care if you come up and you tell them you don't feel comfortable. They will help you however they can. Everybody I've talked to through 10 years of being in the dealer's hall and artist alleys, we will help anybody who needs the help.
And a lot of conventions, especially the larger ones, have what's called the PAX refers to it as the AFK room. It's a low-key, really quiet room, designed to be a quiet room for people who just need a break to sit in a corner by themselves and chill.
And I think it's great that conventions are doing that, because for a while I didn't know that I think for a while conventions didn't do that, especially larger scale ones, because a lot of times the mental overload gets overlooked, and it's something that we don't fully think about all the time. So it's great that they have a quiet space where people can go and decompress, like I was mentioning earlier about, if you're getting overloaded, you want to go somewhere for food, the last thing you want to do is go to a restaurant that you have to wait a half hour to sit because every table's taken by convention attendees or whatever.
And going back to the goddess thing, Ross in the chat says, we all know Belldandy is best goddess of all time. I'm going to vehemently disagree with that, because I know who Belldandy is, and...
my goddess.
Yes.
One I haven't seen.
Wait a minute.
I knew that one, and Darren, I've seen it, and Darren hasn't. That's a rarity.
I've seen it, and Darren hasn't. I think that's the more surprising one.
For shame.
Never watched it.
I think, if I remember correctly, because that's one I watched a long time ago.
Same here.
If I remember correctly, it's right up your alley, Darren.
Yeah, just never watched it.
But from what I remember, Belldandy was the one I liked the least.
She was okay.
Everyone knows that Doug's favorite was Hestia.
No. I actually didn't care for Hestia that much. She was kind of annoying, not as annoying as Loki, but
All right.
Who would
Hestia
you
was
say
just
was
good
the
for
best?
for the comedic relief.
Who would you say was the best goddess from that series?
I don't know who was the
What
one that was like pulling behind the strings. She had
Uh,
her eyes set on Belle as well.
what
you just
series are
had
you
that.
guys even talking about?
Is it wrong to
Is
try to
it
pick
wrong to
up
pick
girls
up
in
girls
dungeon?
in a dungeon?
Okay.
You just
You
had
won't
that.
watch it, but I know that you've seen characters from it.
Probably.
It wasn't Artemis. It wasn't. It was one. It was one of the Greek goddesses. Ugh. It wasn't Athena. Uh. Now it's gonna bother me.
Spike Bebop in the chat says, "What anime has you hooked this month?"
What anime has us hooked this month?
I have a laundry list, but as I said earlier, or maybe that was before we went live. Uh,
Mm,
one of my favorites right now, currently is
Freya. Sorry, it was
no,
Freya, Doug.
Freya? Yeah.
one of my favorites right now is Apothecary Diaries. I have a laundry list. I'm actually enjoying most of it. Ross's picks are Fluffy Paradise and Sign of Affection, and both of those are actually really good. Fluffy Paradise is probably going to be the one that shocks me the most.
I would probably have to say like my big three right now: Banished from the Heroes Party, Fluffy Paradise, and the continuation of Freerun.
I would have to go Dangers in My Heart, absolutely. Hokkaido Gals, and let's see, what would be a close third? I would have to go with you know what? I don't know.
Uh,
Maybe probably Heroes Party season 2.
Spike Bebop says, "What's Fiera?" I think that's their interpretation of Freerun.
Mm,
Freerun Beyond, was it Beyond Hero's Journey?
or was
Was
he
the full time? Yeah,
referencing?
Beyond Journey's End for Freerun.
Or was he referencing when I said Freya?
He might be referencing Freya.
Sorry, Freya was the goddess's name we couldn't remember off the top of our heads from Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
And Francisco Garcia also says OAC. My list. Da, da, da. There's another one that I'm actually really like.
Oh, the wrong way to use healing magic's been interesting. It's definitely not no redo of healer just yet.
There's my watch list for the season is actually very all over the place. Um, another one I'm really liking that's a little, we'll call it odd. Metallic Rogue.
I don't
Or
think
Metallic
that's not
Rouge.
one that I'm watching. Was that on your list, Aaron?
No.
It's a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi. It's Studio Bones. It is. I'm really liking it. It's very much giving me some vibes from like things like Psychopaths or Cyberpunk.
And Ross is saying, "I'm sorry, Doug. I'm not saying it's bad, but Banished isn't focusing on Red and Rit like the first season, based on the title of the series." Um,
It's
I'm
actually not a detriment. I kind of don't mind them focusing on Ruti.
Ruti in season 2, like for early on, I'm not caught up on the series. I'm like 1 or 2 episodes behind, I think. But Ruti has fast taken over, in my opinion, as possibly best girl of the series.
Tisei's not bad.
No, but
Adorable.
there's something about Ruti that, like, I think from seeing her in season 1 to where in season 2 she's more expressive. I think that just kind of made her more adorable and more likable because she's not the stoic hero that she was in season 1.
I think you're gonna enjoy the episode that just released.
Probably. I will say the dumpster fire of the season, and I call it the dumpster fire or train wreck because even though it's absolutely ridiculous, I am probably going to continue watching it, gushing over magical girls.
I haven't
Um,
started.
it is definitely out there. It is
Yep.
very, very etchy. So if you're not big into the fan service and nudity, it doesn't have the god lights like you see with a lot of titles in the recent few years. They do show everything. So definitely NSFW, not for
Um,
kids.
before we go too
Jane,
far from this, John in the chat, it says that he's going to wait for more dub episodes of Banished from the Heroes Party to come out.
back back to the etchy part. Chain Soldier has also been an interesting one. And we'll just leave it at that.
And Ross, I'm not hating on the show, referring to Banished from the Heroes Party, just confused on why they didn't call this a different name based on the character focus shift.
Probably because I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. Well, technically, if you think about it, Ruti banished herself from the hero's party by abandoning being the hero.
So it still is being banished from the heroes party, and it's not. I know season 1 focused on Rit and Red and their experience from being banished, but you could see as season 1 was ending and Ruti was sick of being the hero, and the way that a lot of the storylines of the characters were going. Once Ruti decided to leave the heroes party, now you're seeing things as a change of the guard, so to speak, where they're trying to make way for the new hero while still trying to incorporate the former hero. And it just so happens, Rit and Red are still around. They're trying to live the quiet life in the countryside, but we all know that won't happen.
Yep.
In the chat, Spike Bebop says Anime Boston was the first anime convention I've been in a long time. It was a wonderful experience. Busy with day job as a baker. Power to you. I tried that. It made me miserable. I don't have time for anime conventions. I know that feeling all too well.
Yes, I agree with you on that, Spike Bebop. With my new job and having just gotten promoted this week, I will have less time for conventions. Anime Boston, I'm hoping I can work things out to where I can get a day or two off to drive up there.
Issa J, question about Banished from the Heroes Party. Thoughts on sub versus dub?
I will watch sub, so I'm biased.
Having started, like, I watched the whole first season dubbed. Thought all of the voices were really good. We've even had a few of the voice actors on the show, including Aaron Campbell, the voice of Red, and Danny Chambers, the voice of Rit, have both been guests on the show, and thought that they did a wonderful job. Banished from the Heroes Party season 2 is when I introduced myself to the Japanese cast, and they as well have, I think both of them fit the characters very well. I know there's a lot of times where you'll watch it and when you watch it sub, and then when you go to watch the dub either A, loses a lot of the meaning or the content of certain scenes, or it just doesn't feel like the voices fit the characters. In this case, in my personal opinion, I think both the sub and dub smashed it for the voice acting choices for the characters. Now, knowing new characters were brought in for season 2, I have not watched it dubbed yet. I've only seen it subbed. But I am excited to know Aaron Campbell's coming back, Danny Chambers coming back, and looking forward to seeing how they continue to work well off of each other in the recording booths to keep the show going as good as it was in season 1.
John Knight says to Issa, I'm just a dub watcher. And Ross, I think, is going back to some of the stuff you guys were saying about the ecchi. That makes sense. Also, I, from this point on, will not bring up tales of the wedding rings anymore. I forgot some questionable scenes in the manga. I'm just focused on the romance aspect of it.
And Ross, that is totally fine.
The best part.
I still haven't seen past episode 1 of that.
And Ross, I remember you like your romances, so hey, you like what you like.
And keep giving us the great advice on romances, because there's a lot of times you've recommended shows to Darren, Angela, and myself that we've come to actually enjoy. So,
yep.
If there's things that you don't want to see, you have every right to change the channel, so to speak. That's why there's so many episodes out there to choose from.
And that's why the three of us give each other shit sometimes for our taste, but it's all in friendly banter and good fun.
And we all have come to the agreement that most shonen are overrated and most isekai is trash. And we will continue to give each other crap about that.
Yep.
And according to the TikTok I sent y'all the other day, the greatest waifu of all time is who? Or did y'all not watch it?
I didn't see it.
It was somebody I didn't recognize, so there's that.
Speedwagon. Aye. Y'all do not know. Y'all do not get these JoJo references.
No, I don't watch JoJo.
I refuse to watch JoJo on principle. But it is fun to watch Connor obsess over JoJo.
And Rem.
Who's Rem?
Yeah.
From ReZero.
No, that's how you piss off every ReZero fan. You just say, who's Rem?
Or
season like the end of season 1, the whole ReZero fandom was thrown up in arms when Amelia the hero goes, who's Rem? Because Rem supposedly or was supposed to have died or was erased from everybody's memory.
Ross, highly recommend Sign of Affection. Ross, you are not the only one watching it. I'm actually only 1 episode behind, depending on what day it goes up.
It's on my list too, Ross. I just haven't had any free time.
Ross, Sign of Affection is absolutely adorable. It is so good.
And Issa J agrees with Angela on her JoJo take, which I refuse to watch it. A, I don't like the art style. B, from what I've heard about it, nothing interests me in the least bit.
See, that's my whole thing is the content is things I like. However, what I was told is the writing is bad enough where it's going to
annoy you.
Yep. Hence, I refuse to watch it because I don't want to be pissed off.
Watch Stardust Crusaders at the very least.
I do not remember which character that is, Ross.
And Darren, you had mentioned about TikTok earlier. I've been seeing some like vines or shorts where people are taking some of the dance moves from the anime Shine Post and put it to the Spice Girls Wannabe, but it's a different version of Wannabe that they put the music to on that, and that made me go back and have to rewatch Shine Post again. Which, after a couple of years of having not seen it, to me it was still just as good, and I would still rate that show higher than the Love Live franchise when it comes to idol anime. But that's just my personal opinion.
Oh, yes. Ross in the chat clarified his point, and I 100% agree with you. I don't like that character. I 100% agree with what you're saying. But overall, the show is really, really good. That Ross, the character you're talking about, might get. I'm hoping that he gets a little bit of a redemption bit, because I thought he was going to in that one scene at the train station, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Jury's
little
still out.
sister is all he needs, right, Darren?
Yep. Yes, because that was Best Girl. Not the actual little sister, though. Which he didn't even know was a little sister.
Oh,
I wish that show would have gotten a second season. Yeah, don't say any more because of Darren.
Mm-hmm.
And with oh,
we've left her speechless, Doug.
No, I got a text message from the other end of the room telling me to check the score of telling me about the football game that's going on right now. And my husband also is asking what show we're talking about, because he's hearing me, and was questioning what show we were talking about. And then when I told him, he's like, that character. It's like, yep.
Yeah, would you look at that? It's all tied up.
Yep.
The NFL doesn't rig things.
Because I have a friend who's a huge San Francisco fan and gave up on the game before they tied it. And I love watching sports. I hate watching sports.
I like betting on sports.
Does it make you any money, though?
Sometimes, but usually no. This game is probably not like the bet that I did for today probably won't get me any money. However, through the gambling app that I use, I did bet on the League of Legends games yesterday. So esports, League of Legends gaming, I bet on that, had a free, it was like $1 bet, but because I had built up crowns, I was able to get $1 bet for free, and I won $3. So hey, $3 profit. Put that towards NFL games today, and I'm probably not going to win anything. So I'm back to where I started.
No, for me, I bet I'll do some sports betting. Over the years, I've probably broken even.
I don't gamble.
If the site wants me to talk about them, they can offer a sponsorship.
The best was casual betting amongst good friends, and one year everybody was hating on New England, even though it was an end of season game in New England in the snow. And lo and behold, Oakland choked.
Yeah, the Snow Bowl. Tuck rule.
I won money, but but it's my friends, so it's whatever. Spike Bebop, which do you prefer, long or short RPGs? I like short ones because of my gaming backlog. I could probably go on for another hour about that. The short answer to that is whatever has. I like RPG. I play RPGs for the story. So whatever has a fantastic story,
personally, I haven't played many RPGs. Probably the only two that I've played to completion are Final Fantasy IX and YS Arc of Nephisdom. And both of those were really, really good.
I love Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy X and X-2 I have started but didn't get very far into because of lack of time.
Final Fantasy X is near and dear to me because it is the first RPG I beat by myself, start to finish. Currently, slowly chugging my way through Baldur's Gate 3. But and then Ross, sorry to switch the subjects all off anime, but did you guys know Jordan Peele is co-producing a non-horror movie that comes out in April? It's called Monkey Man.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. Huh.
I'm also not much of a movie person, so I don't even know the name Jordan Peele, so I don't know who that is.
I know the name. That's one of those. I go in phases with movies. I'll end up. It used to be where I would end up going to a lot of movies all at once, and then wouldn't for like another 8 months. And now with everything being available on my nice TV, it's more of a it's almost overwhelming with the amount we have access to.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting topic talking about we jumped from anime to sports. I was looking through Facebook a couple weeks ago, and somebody had concept art of Rick Hendrick racing in NASCAR, the 24 and the 48, having anime on the stock cars. I think one of them was like Free Ren, and I forget what the other one was, but it was two like current popular anime on the actual NASCAR Cup cars. And being a fan of both the anime community, the anime world, and auto racing, I think it would be amazing to see like Crunchyroll or an anime company do something special with one of the NASCAR race teams, whether it be a truck series, Nextel's Cup series, or the nationwide series. I think it would be really, really neat to see a collaboration there.
I feel like with the amount, while I have watched auto racing in the past, or casually here and there, I'd hardly call myself a fan per se. But I feel like we're getting to a point where all of the fandoms are overlapping, and to see like the anime companies do something with an auto race team, it's only a matter of time in from what I can tell.
Yeah, and I could see like, because it's not uncommon, especially in NASCAR, where certain races will have special things they do. With Roush Fenway Racing, or now Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, when they go to New Hampshire, it's not uncommon to see the Roush NASCAR Cup cars at Fenway Park, or do something with the Boston Red Sox because of the Fenway Group being a part of Roush Fenway Racing. Why couldn't they go to Texas Motor Speedway or Circuit of the Americas in Texas, and a car or a team have something to do with Crunchyroll or High Dive or some sort of Bang Zoom's more of an LA company, so
but I forget
something along that.
I forget what's
lines.
where, but I know there's some stuff in Texas, some stuff in California.
Funimation is still in Texas, as well as Sentai. I mean, I know Funimation is more of, they do a lot of like the recording and everything goes through the Crunchyroll brand now, kind of like High Dive is all the Sentai stuff.
Ross, to answer Spike's question about RPGs, I like my RPGs as I like my real estates together. And I remember that that anime exists. There was a real estate RPG anime.
Yeah, and it actually wasn't horrible?
I didn't watch it. I think that was a season I had way too much going on in life. But
Still say Angela needs to watch Vending Machine.
no,
Agreed. I need to watch Vending Machine.
I refuse to watch Vending Machine. Not happening.
You're no fun.
I did start. My wife is hooked on the new series that's out on Amazon Prime called Has Been Hotel, and so I watched like the first 2 episodes of that tonight with her. It's not horrible. It's interesting.
I've heard good things about Has Been Hotel. I haven't seen any of it yet. John Knight, May 9th of this year will mark the 30th anniversary of Funimation.
Holy cow.
I feel that's another thing that makes me just feel old.
I know. Tell me about it.
Now back to our regularly scheduled anime topics. Darren from Ross, have you started Dangers in My Heart Season 2 yet?
Ross, that's my favorite show this season. It pulls me in every single episode. It's one of the highest rated romances of all time, and I can understand why.
So no, he hasn't seen a single episode.
Nope, not at all.
Kind of like he wants Ange to watch Vending Machine, but he hasn't seen it himself.
Pretty much.
Y'all are not getting me. Y'all are not getting me to watch Vending Machine. There's the line in the sand.
To be fair, we did get her to watch. Get her to watch Aho Girl, so
I will be more inclined to watch an ecchi.
So High School DxD.
I'm not. That one gets put on the list of I'll eventually, if that's your pick, fine, I'll get to it eventually when I have time.
I mean, if she really wants ecchi, gushing over magical girls would be up her alley.
Why don't you just give her No, she needs to watch Interspecies Reviewers.
That's actually far more likely because I have friends that have threatened to put that on because someone found out I hadn't seen it. And it's basically all I have to do is show up at a gathering and they'll put it on for me.
Interesting question from the chat. Spike Bebop says, is anyone a fan of Pokemon? Doesn't it feel a little weird to watch a Pokemon anime without Ash?
Yes. I haven't really the only Pokemon anime that didn't feel weird watching it without Ash was during the Johto journeys. They went back and did some short episodes with Misty and Tracy. So, and also did some episodes with Gold and Lyra and all them. So that wasn't too weird. I haven't watched any of the new Pokemon because the few clips I have seen, it is so cringeworthy that I just can't.
I have not seen the any of the Pokemon anime. However, I will say was that last year or the year before when
last year with Sarah Natacheni.
And that she talked about that. She talked about basically Ash being retired, and she was such a sweetheart. And
oh yeah,
and that was a really fun press interview to do.
And in the chat, Ross says, I might watch Vending Machine or give Vending Machine a chance. If Doug can tell me, does the blonde have flutter of the heart for Bokuto? In the short answer, it is you could call it a romance and isekai anime. There is some romance that develops. I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, there is a little flutter there between the blonde and the vending machine.
John is giving me a recommendation if I like ecchi. As a point of clarification, ecchi's not necessarily my thing.
So you can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily my thing, but it's not something as a whole I will actively
Seek out.
ignore. I don't actively seek it out. On specific shows aside, I don't necessarily hate on it much.
She's addicted to Girls Bravo.
Yep.
Oh God, here we go.
Girls Bravo and Conception. She can't get enough.
Don't. Yeah, no, we'd gone multiple. I think that's the first time this year that one's come up. Really, Doug? Really?
Why not?
I think you're more. I'm surprised Darren hadn't brought it up before now.
I try not to. I don't like that show.
I don't either, but I know it gets to Ange, so sometimes it's fun just to hit that button.
And I know that's where you were going. And Ross says, the feeling better not be dry, though. Some anime have been dry on genres when they say it has that genre.
The thing about Vending Machine is it doesn't say it's a romance, but you can see that there is like mutual respect. And I mean, there's even been talks of in the anime, they bring up possibly turning Boxo back into a human. So,
and Ross, on the broader point, I will actually agree. I will actually agree with the point. Sometimes the genre listing is more of a misnomer. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's really not. Which is why a lot of times I'll go by, if the description even remotely grabs me, I'll disregard the genres and give it a 3-4 episodes to determine whether or not I even like it.
Like a case with Fluffy Paradise.
Fluffy Paradise is adorable, and it doesn't.
It's the cuteness factor we all need in our life from time to time.
Exactly.
Is that getting dubbed now? I don't remember if they started dubbing that or not.
But from the chat, John Knight.
No, not yet.
John Knight is responding to Spike Bebop about that. I think there's supposed to be a word in there. Most Pokemon. I think it's I watch most Pokemon. And then Ross, so like Butreba?
AKA Heat the Pig Liver.
I have not seen that one.
I've seen part of it.
Only thing I can say, Ross, is I know that you really enjoy the romance genre. Go into Vending Machine with an open mind, and if you feel that things are dry or it's not progressing to your liking, drop it. Give it a fair shot. Go in with an open mind. I did that with Goblin Slayer. I went in with an open mind, got through an episode and probably half of the second one, and it really, I was like, I just did not hook me, did not interest me, and I feel bad. That's only a second anime I've ever had less than a 3-episode watch because it just really didn't hook me.
And that's a shame. I had a feeling it was not going to be for you.
But I did give it the fair shot.
Yeah. And
I gave that more of a shot than Angel gave Vending Machine.
And I have no shame about I have no shame about that. I'll try a lot of things.
I still think you might like Shine Post because there is some good story development in that one. But I also know you're not the biggest music idol anime fan.
Music I like. Idols kind of get lumped into not my thing. But I'm a sucker for a really good story.
It's a good story, a lot of character development in said story.
And that makes it worthy of the list I'll get to eventually someday when I have free time.
I mean, even Darren said it wasn't horrible. It was better than he thought it was gonna be.
I
forgot how good Shine Post was, and the music in it really is slaps.
That I probably would try an episode or two eventually when I have time, which is to say not this season. because my watch list for this season's like 10 shows. Ross. Okay, Ross says it's not a reincarnation anime, but he's unconscious in our world, but summoned into the body of a pig as of episode 11 before episode 12 premieres on February 5th.
Thanks for the spoiler, sir.
I think Darren is the only one that's watching the pig anime.
Actually, is your wife still watching it?
She started it. I don't know how far she got in. I don't think she's watched it in a while. She had a lot of shows backlogged that she had to catch up on. Not just from 2023 either. She was backlogged into like 21, 22.
Don't we all have that list? I mean, I have a lot on my list that's from before 2023.
Yeah, I still got like 2 or 3 seasons. I think 2 seasons of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Still can't get through season 4 of Date Alive.
I mean,
or season 2 of
while we're on the
Devil's a Part-Timer.
While we're on the shows I started and didn't finish, Ross, I ended up not finishing Girl and Her Guard Dog. We ended up getting through episode 9, deciding that we were just done with the repetitiveness of it, and didn't finish the show.
Conscious decision to say nope, done.
Yep, we discussed it, and then we basically went, we're behind. I don't care enough to finish this. And then we finished everything else, and that was around the time we binged. And we binged a bunch of Apothecary Diaries because we'd gotten further behind on that, and that one we enjoyed a lot more. And Ross agrees with me about Shinepost, I think.
About not big on music idols, but like shows that have a good story.
Yeah, for me,
I know for you, story is everything. So when I see something that I feel has a good story, that's usually when I will recommend.
Yeah, it's definitely the bad writing will turn me off instantly. So you actually did finish. So Ross finished it, apparently, Girl and Guard Dog. And yep, I sort of figured that's what they were alluding to. But it just got to the point of, nope, we're just done. But good to know that finally happened.
And on that subject of final scenes where things actually happen, the Saints' Magic Powers Omnipotent finally finished that season 2 of that, and that came to a close. And the couple that you could see that was developing early on in season 1, they finally officially get together at the end of season 2. Sorry for the spoiler. I should have said spoiler alert, but the way things progress to get to that point is worth the watch. The show in and of itself was actually really good. A good rom-com, a good romance. Yeah, it's an isekai, but you forget about that very early on in season 1.
Darren Ross is apologizing for the spoiler, but he got angry at the show creators for going on hiatus for 2 months before Christmas instead of just finishing the show.
When it comes to anime studios going on hiatus, I don't even question it anymore.
At this point, honestly, I don't question so much as I just get annoyed.
It's annoying, but we've become used to it. And it's like the naming conventions. We're just kind of getting used to it. We don't like it. We just accept that it's happening.
And for certain shows, it means I'll probably never finish them.
Attack on Titan being the exception.
Hey, I finished Attack on Titan.
I said that was the exception.
No, that's a different beast.
What was the finale worth the ride of the whole series? That's the biggest question.
No, from
The
my
short
understanding.
the short answer is no. There's a very long-winded answer. I've alluded to some I'm saving for
A
when we
special when
get
you and Mario can get together.
and just deep dive into the entire series. If anyone else wants to be a part of that, I'm not opposed. Uh, for those who like Attack on Titan, and Ross is still going on about this issue, but to go on hiatus after basically after the penultimate episode before the finale.
So basically giving you the ultimate cliffhanger.
And you know what, Ross, I can agree with that gripe. It's gotten to a point where yeah, like we said, I've just gotten used to delays and things of that nature because it is what it is.
And John Knight says, I also finished Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapter, special to dub series finale, and it is his favorite, and he wants to cry.
The final chapter I did not enjoy. I'm not going to spoil, and I'm just going to leave it at that. The rest of the final season overall was worth watching, but not as good as, in my opinion, seasons 1 through 3.
And speaking of anime studios, I think, Darren, you had posted a news article about the arsonist was sentenced to the death penalty for the Kyoto Animation fire.
That is correct.
I
didn't read the article, but I saw just getting through the thing.
I read I skimmed the article as well because I'd seen it elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that is fitting due to the fact of, many people lost their lives in a fire that didn't need to happen. It was just something really petty, and I feel like Kyoto Animation coming back with, and I know, Angela, you're not into the Dragon Maid anime, but season 2 to come back with that first episode with a huge fight scene between Ilulu and Toru it just felt like a statement moment from the studio, being like, we're back, and we may have been down, but we're not out. We're back to fight the good fight.
100%. Like,
I don't know if you saw, like, even if you just watched the clip of that fight and be like, yeah, that's coming back.
You showed me that clip. That's a show I tried a couple episodes, didn't like it. Again, not for me. But that's one of those.
But you had to watch at least one episode of season 2 since we hung out with Lulu's voice actress for the weekend.
Yeah, Christy is amazing.
she really is.
Like,
I hope everything's going well for her since her new life started after marriage and moving and focusing on her voice acting career full time. Really hope everything's going good for her.
Agreed. Like, she was so down to earth and such a sweetheart in person. Like during Rail City, we were all sitting there at the restaurant, just kind of chilling like we were old friends who hadn't seen each other in months
or years.
And she was that amazing. And
I would say, and not just a personal bias, but based off of spending an entire weekend with Christy and getting to know her and to see how she interacts with fans and everything, I would highly recommend you requesting her to your local conventions. Get her out there because she is just an amazing person. Loves the fans, loves to talk with people, loves to meet people. So highly, highly, highly would recommend her to any convention. If you're a promoter, if you're an attendee and want to get voice actors to your conventions, reach out.
From the chat, John Knight says Kristen McGuire started her voice acting career 10 years ago.
I remember when she first came out, and I remember when we first had her on the show. She is one of multiple voice actors we've had the honor of being her first official radio interview. To talk about her voice acting career. I've met her a couple of times in person, including last year at GalaxyCon with Darren, and she is such a sweetheart. Would love to get her on the show again, but as they've gotten more popular, their schedules have gotten more hectic.
And especially when you factor in time zones.
And you also factor in that Kristen, I believe, doesn't just do the voice acting. I think she also does some directing, some ADR adaptation. Plus, she's an artist.
Yep. So life, the universe, and everything.
And you have other people that do a lot of the directing and producing and stuff of anime, like Anthony Bowling was doing a lot of directing. Jeremy Inman directs a lot of stuff. Colleen Klinkenbeard is involved in many aspects of the anime production world. So it's tough to get a lot of these people on the show that we used to get on all the time for understandable reasons. And we will never chase anybody down or hound them. And we'll ask if we don't hear back from them or they decline. It is what it is. We respect their privacy and their lifestyles.
Yep.
Going back to the convention theme of the topic, other things to think about when you're going to conventions. Budgeting is a big thing, not just budgeting your time, but budgeting your money, because it's easy to go to a larger scale convention, an Anime Boston, San Diego Comic-Con, Kineticon, Anime NYC, things of that nature, where there's a ton of vendors with a lot of really cool items, whether you're into the Funko Pops, figures, collectibles, posters, DVDs, random merchandise, bags, pins, buttons, stickers, whatever the case may be. It's easy to go in and get overwhelmed, and then you just start spending your money everywhere. And before you know it, you have nothing.
Yeah, budget.
Or you could be like Darren, and the next thing you know, hey, I just bought a $280 figure for you. Wait, what?
Yeah, no, budgeting is important. You have to account for every expense. You can do a convention on a bare bones budget. However, do not forget to give yourself transportation money, whether that's public transportation, Uber, gas money. How are you going to get there and back? And also food. Those are going to be the big expenses that a lot of people overlook.
And something that I have come into the habit of doing when it comes to the dealer's hall or artist alleys, I will walk through before making any purchases and kind of mentally note down, okay, I really like this art piece. It's at this table, right? And either write down the name of the artist or try to remember where in the convention hall an artist or a vendor is who has stuff that I'm interested in. Something, an event like Anime Boston or a GalaxyCon, as Darren can vouch for, you might find multiple vendors who have the same figures.
Yep, and the prices might be slightly different for whatever reason.
And I've seen as much as like $50 differences in some figures, where one might have it for $280, another one's got the same exact figure for $230. And just throwing examples out there. And I know you've seen that as well. So it's always good to walk through. Now, when you're going and you're doing that, you do run the risk of, you might find something that you really, really want. And if you leave, there's a chance it may not be there when you come back. A lot of times, some of the really good things, they might have just one or two of. So you do run the risk of maybe not getting what you want. So that's when it really comes down to, like, going to a convention. Usually in my mind, I'll be like, I'm looking for a specific figure or a specific couple figures. And if I can find that character, I will then decide on whether or not I want to get it, if the price is right, or if I want to try to find a better deal. I know, Angela, you're not much into the figure side of things. I know you do enjoy like the books and stuff of that nature. So I'm sure you've gone through, especially knowing a lot of artists, where you kind of see who has what and maybe get something of some of your favorite characters that way.
That's exactly it. I don't necessarily like. I absolutely have all the love and respect for the artists that put their blood, sweat, tears, and time into the conventions. But if I'm going, I don't do collectible stuff. That's just not my thing.
Outside of
So
blankets.
blankets were all gifts, and blankets are useful. I live in Winterfell, for crying out loud.
You don't live in Winterfell till you live in Syracuse or Buffalo.
I've heard stories. My mom lived in Buffalo for a long time.
I had 7 years north of Syracuse, 32 and a half inches in 5 hours. That's a lot of snow in a short time.
8 feet of snow in 28 days.
That sounds about like Fulton.
That was Massachusetts, February 2015.
Oh, yes, I remember that. That was right after I was going through the divorce and moved back to Mass, because that was the year that it snowed every Sunday and Tuesday for 4 weeks straight.
Monday classes did not exist.
And the reason I know that is because the job I had, my 2 days off were Sundays and Tuesdays. Sundays because we were closed, and Tuesday was my regularly scheduled day off. So I didn't miss a single day of work through all of that, when a lot of my coworkers did. So I was like the only one there that got full paychecks for like a month.
Ross, just a joke, but half serious. If our advice on conventions don't work, there are some anime focus or specific anime episodes that will help you understand on what to do for one.
There are some animes. New Game has an episode where the girls that are working on this big game in season 1, they go to like a PAX East style gaming exhibition or gaming convention, where they announce the huge debut of this game being released. And you kind of get a feel of what it's like through the eyes of the creators, seeing their work up on like the big stages and the big screens for the first time in a convention setting. There are other conventions where you see them go and they're selling merchandise. Actually, I think Dragon Maid has an episode where Fafnir is trying to sell manga that he made.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, A Sister's All You Need, didn't they have something because he was trying to promote his anime? Or am I thinking of Manga Sensei and a couple of others?
I think you're thinking Manga Sensei. They didn't do a convention after their the manga or the light novels had come out. You saw the two guys at the store watching as people bought their books and kind of like feeling, haha, I'm doing better than you, or come on, just get it. You know you want it. And then they put the book down and walk away, and they get frustrated.
As far as the convention stuff, honestly, No, another anime that gets into like the behind the scenes stuff is Bakuman
I've
from
heard
the
about that.
it's done by the same people that did Death Note, and it's very much the point is very the short synopsis. You got a writer and illustrator who get together to become a team to write a manga, and the objective is to have it be at the top, and then one of them, the girl he has a crush on, becomes a voice actress, and so you get a little bit of that industry as well.
Oh, here's another one. This is a really old anime, but does anyone remember one called Comic Party?
You've talked about it. I never watched it, but I have heard of it.
Basically, the goal of the main character is to get into, you know how Japan has summer and winter Comiket? Basically, the
Yep.
two biggest anime conventions in the world.
Yep.
That was the goal, to sell X amount of copies at each one, or to make their big break during Comiket. And then let's see. There's another one I'm thinking of that had I'm gonna have to go back through my anime list, but there's another one that's convention oriented too, with a brother and sister that's not your manga sensei and not a sister's all you need. Uh,
Um,
now I'm gonna have to find it again.
another there are YouTubers in some of the Japanese YouTubers that we follow have been invited guests at conventions and have done videos from said conventions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So those might be worth checking out as well.
Uh, it wasn't showcase.
And Ross in the chat says just about to say that one, Darren, but also an anime called Haruka Nogozaka's Secret.
Never heard of that one.
Haven't heard of that one either. It's such a
Same.
secret, we've never heard of it.
Um,
Well, I think ultimately when it comes down to having like the best convention experiences, be respectful. Be respectful of others, especially if you expect others to be respectful of you. Also, you know, and it sounds like the dumbest thing, but when you see staff members, I personally I like to thank the staff members for the work they're doing, because a lot of them, like Anime Boston, everybody's a volunteer. They are not paid to be there, and they do a ton of work behind the scenes. And they could be having an absolute crap day, and if you just go up and say, "Hey, thank you for working with the convention. I'm having a great time," you might change their attitude. You might be that spark that turns their day right around. Um, Also, like we were saying, hygiene is important. It's very, very common when you're in a tight space like an Anime Boston and you're in a panel room, or even the elevators is where it can be real bad, and somebody in there hasn't showered. The body odor does not hide itself in cosplay. We've all been around people who you can tell that have not really taken care of themselves. So definitely don't be the person
And
that people look at and go, they stink.
allow yourself time to have give yourself time to decompress as need be. I cannot stress enough. Always make sure you drink enough water. Being dehydrated in the middle of a convention, no fun.
Make sure you have food, because like in your case, Angela, you need to eat.
Yep. I have I have blood sugar problems. If I go too long without eating, I will physically end up sick. And I've pushed those limits far too often at conventions. And Doug, we forgot, and in our discussions about that, we forgot Dress Up Darling.
Yeah, that shows conventions from the cosplay side of things.
Yep.
If you do plan on cosplaying for conventions, plan accordingly. Make sure that
and bring your problem. It might be bring repair supplies. You never know when you're gonna need it. A little tiny, like the hotel the hotel emergency sewing kit, if you in case something rips. Extra hairpins for the wigs.
It sounds stupid, Velcro duct tape. Also, try to learn the map of the conventions well, because a lot of conventions will have a cosplay repair station. So if you do have something happen and you can't fix it, you don't have the right stuff to fix it, a lot of times they will have sewing machines. They may have some fabric or something there that can help you patch it together.
Or even a hot glue gun.
Yeah,
carefully. But
or sometimes you'll have people wandering the convention as a cosplay medic, and
yep,
that's what we do.
Yep. And again, comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be walking a lot, or on your feet a lot, because there's so much to see and do.
If you're new to the cosplaying side of things, again, make sure that you have people around with you that you're comfortable with, that you feel safe around. Because as cosplayers, and Angela, you know this, people will stop you constantly.
Yep.
And it's also okay to say no to a photograph if you're in a hurry. Or if you don't feel comfortable, you can say no. You don't have to say yes to every person that asks for a photo.
It is not. Where was I? I had something.
Oh, found the anime I was thinking of. My Sister, My Writer. Do you remember that one, Doug? I think you watched it with me.
I don't know that I remember
the one
that
where
one.
The guy is a failed light novel artist, but his sister is coming up with ideas, and he doesn't want to publish them because they're not his.
Sounds vaguely familiar. I think it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was there, but there was multiple convention interactions because it was about him writing a light novel and competing with other authors and groups, and also I'm gonna get hate for this one. Or emo.
Oh, is that the one about like the brother sister? The sister's big into the eroges.
Yes, the My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute. There's several convention scenes in that one. And whenever they do conventions in anime, a lot of times they'll show cosplayers from dressing up as characters from other anime, but potentially by even that studio or just popular ones at the time. So cosplay and anime definitely exist too.
Yep.
Did you get back on track from what you were trying to think of, Ange?
I don't know, but to kind of, in a nutshell, make sure you plan out how you're getting there. Have a list of everything you want to do, purchase, experience, food. Make sure you take care of yourself. And
another big one, and this is just coming from years of experience of talking with the voice actors, remember that they're just people. They're people just like you and I are. A lot of times they experience the fans who come up and they're so excited and so overwhelmed that they can't talk. They start crying. They just the excitement and the emotion of getting to meet some of your favorite voices or your favorite characters, the people who bring them to life through their voice acting work. Be respectful of them as well. You don't hear too many times of people going beyond common sense limits, but take a deep breath before, if you're going to meet them for the first time. It can be nerve wracking. It can be exciting. A lot of emotions will well up while you're in lines. Another thing too is be prepared at, especially bigger conventions, be prepared to wait in line you might have to line up an hour ahead of time or more to hit a panel that you want to see.
And
and that
speaking of lines, especially the 18 plus panels.
And also on that note, double check with some of the convention staff if about the lines, because some conventions actually have rules because of fire codes and all that about how long that you can wait in a small area beforehand. PAX East was a big one for this. Some of the more popular guests and panels, people tried lining up at literally 8 a.m. for a panel that was taking place at 2 in the afternoon, and the convention would not allow that at all.
I'd say it's a panel, not a limited edition release of something.
It was that was, I believe, Markiplier.
Okay.
That's
I could see why, but same time, no.
Bingo. So and also, if you have even the slightest bit of a physical limitation and physically cannot wait in a line for that long, talk to the convention staff. I know Anime Boston has handicap stickers that they put on the badges that will allow you to have a designated waiting area where there's comfy chairs as opposed to standing around. And PAX East has medical badges as well for similar things.
And I know before my wife went on her weight loss journey and everything, at one point she had to walk with a cane because of health reasons. And Anime Boston that year, they did give us the handicap badge for her and for me as basically her husband, B, kind of like her guide to help in case something was going wrong.
Okay, now I remember what it was. Back on the note of cosplay, if you are cosplaying and you have a mask or a helmet that limits your or contact lenses that limit your visibility, make sure you have a friend with you that you trust to act as your we call them handlers, but to act as basically your eyes to make sure that you do not walk into things or have people walk into you because you cannot see.
And especially people who do full fursuit, wear masks, helmets. Hatake and Sahara always have masks or like some sort of headgear on that limits not just your vision but also your hearing.
Yep.
You don't always hear when somebody's calling out to you. So it's not uncommon. It's great to have a handler or somebody with you that, somebody's yelling to get your picture. You don't hear them, but your friend does. And they just give you a little tap on the shoulder and lean in and say, hey, somebody wants the picture. And then you can turn around and get the pictures taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's a big one. A friend of mine once caused a problem in Anime Boston because of how large their cosplay was. And at one point, because the amount of people that stopped them for photos, it became a problem.
Ross in the chat says anime news just came in. That's right up Doug's alley. Another Banished Hero series is airing in April called Banished. The banished former hero lives as he pleases.
Yeah, Heroes Party started a whole trend.
And John Knight says Crunchyroll Anime Awards will be on March 2nd.
But they're so biased.
That's
They
why I
make
don't like them.
they make crap choices every year. As much as I don't like anime trending, at least anime trending is more accurate.
It's like, okay, Anime Awards, you know
Well,
that
all
My
of
Hero's
these,
going to win. You know Demon
but
Slayer's
see,
going to win. Attack on Titan's going to win. Free Run may win one or two.
here's the thing: it's all subjective. It's like the Academy Awards. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's a group of people decided who the nominees are.
True. Oh,
And unless it is like the People's Choice Awards, in which case even popular vote can be a little bit of a misnomer. They're all rigged.
oh, I just thought of something that I've been a victim of at conventions. If you know you want something, when you get into the dealer's room, make sure what you're purchasing is authentic. Because I have bought a figure that I believe is a knockoff or a counterfeit, and also I have purchased a Pokemon game due to my stupid self not paying attention, was also counterfeit. So be extra careful in the dealer's room and know what to
Um,
look for.
yep, and apparently that's still an ongoing thing.
And it always will be.
Oh, and a fun little fact for you, Ange. One of the judges that selected which animes got put in the different categories was Kaho Shibuya, which you know her from a lot of the YouTube Connor videos.
Yep, Kaho's hilarious. Uh,
She is.
Yuri on Ice won the award for Crunchyroll Anime of the Year 2017. Not remembering what else was out that year.
That doesn't
Yuri
surprise me because at the
that
time of Yuri coming out, it was like super hype.
Yuri on Ice. I'm not even gonna say Yuri was. It was not my favorite from that year, but it was so well done. It was so hyped. Everyone was talking about it, and yeah, that's what gives you an award.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was anything out there that you could objectively say was better.
Voting is closed, so you're not able to go and vote anymore. I tried looking on Crunchyroll site to see any of the nominees, but none of the tabs were working. So everything has been shut down, and so
And
they're getting everything ready for March, or have to wait till March 2nd to
and from Ross,
see.
the music of "And Ice Was Fire."
The music of Yuri on Ice was fire.
Yes, I will agree with that as well.
Yeah. Kind of like Call of the Night had great music. I know Angela didn't like the storyline, but you like Creepy Nuts.
I enjoyed I enjoyed the band Creepy Nuts. Like the art was absolutely gorgeous. I just the
Couldn't get to
writing,
the writing, like you said, that
the
you're big into
characters,
the writing and
and
story.
the characters did not in the 2 episodes I watched, the characters did not resonate with me. I saw there was nothing for me to enjoy.
Oh,
Which is perfectly fine, but in that case, that was a case of I'm glad that you agreed with me on the art style and the music.
Oh, absolutely. Like, from a purely objective standpoint, oh yeah, the art of that was absolutely gorgeous. The music was fantastic. I hated the characters and therefore saw no reason to keep watching.
Remind me, I know you haven't, Doug, but have you seen Death Parade, Ange?
No, I've heard good things.
The opening for that show is really what made me start paying attention to anime openings way back when, because it was so freaking catchy.
Issa J in the chat agrees with Ross on the music from Yuri on Ice. Ross, before the show, Ross's most recent comment. Before the show ends, and oh wow, look at the time.
Yeah.
I need to ask because we list all shows this season, but two I didn't bring up for Darren and Doug. Thoughts on Seventh Time Loop and Hokkaido Girls?
Seventh
Darren?
time loop, not watching Hokkaido Gals, absolutely love it. I also like skiing, so this most recent episode I relate to what is her name? I'm bad with names.
Well, Darren's remembering that I am not watching either show.
But Hokkaido Gals is super adorable. It's great. It really is. I love.
What I will do later this week is on the Anime-Zing Radio Facebook page, I will post my watch list in its entirety and a spoiler-free commentary on all.
Try to include pictures. That way you get better reach, even if you have to make multiple posts out of it.
And before we go off air, just a reminder, we are closing in on 300 subscribers here on the Anime-Zing Radio YouTube channel. When we hit the 300 subscriber mark, we will be doing a giveaway where one lucky winner will receive an autographed picture from Christy Rothrock. So awesome prize to get. Like we said, Christy was an amazing person to be around. Thank her for everything that she did at Rail City. Now, thank you to all of you awesome fans out there. We love you guys who tune in and follow us every week. And even if it's your first time here, thank you for taking the time to check us out. We really have fun just hanging out, being nerds, talking anime and all of this stuff. And also taking an opportunity to share our knowledge and experience of going to events. And, like as I mentioned before, I am closing in 10 years with Anime-Zing Radio. Darren came in about 4 years ago, Angela 2 years ago. And
before we call it for the night, Darren, for you, Ross says, who best gals so far, blonde or purple hair?
Blonde was my favorite just because that's who we got to know of. But after that skiing episode, she grew on me more, but purple hair kind of worked her way in. So for now, it's blonde, but purple hair is on the rise.
And Ross says blonde for him.
I can understand why.
And this is exactly what we like. We love the people that come in and actually chat and share their likes, dislikes, comments, discussion. It's all amazing and why we're here.
And if you listen to us through the podcasting platforms, of course, thank you so much for listening to us. If you want to experience the live shows, come over to YouTube when we do the shows, typically live Sunday nights, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, with my new work schedule, there will probably be random shows that will pop up throughout the week. So I know that not everybody who can make it Sunday nights will be able to make it throughout the week, but really... we enjoy this.
Follow us on Facebook. Someone will post the updated schedule as they happen. As the changes happen, Facebook will be where we post this stuff. In the meantime,
I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe week. Until next week, when we have more fun and excitement with anime talk and random chaos. That is Anime-Zing Radio. This has been Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Keep enjoying the anime, and we'll see you again next week right here for more AZR.
good night, everybody.